myself, I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for a long, long year.
Hi guys. So this is the year that programmatic is going to go mainstream. We've all been talking about programmatic now for several years, and some of us in the room may be more actively involved in the process of utilizing audiences and utilizing programmatic for delivery purposes. But there's no doubt that programmatic has changed the way that brands and agencies target audiences. And that's really no different for retail. It totally applies to retail too. What we're going to talk about today is how brands and agencies utilize audiences, how comfortable marketers are with the process of audience creation, audience extension, and just how important the principles of transparency and control are. AddThis partnered with our friends at Digiday to do a survey with 200 marketers, much like yourselves. In fact, some of you may have participated with us, and for those of you that did, thank you for joining in. I'm going to share with you the highlights, recap the main points of the survey, answer any questions that you might have at the end, and then we'll also be following up after the event with a white paper that will be emailed to each of you. So let's get into it. The three key takeaways from the presentation were that marketers in general are seeking more robust data options than just demographics. We want to go beyond demographics and look more closely at things like behaviors and sentiment, what people are actually doing, how they're engaging with brands. There is a need for more efficiency from scaling up custom audiences and a strong desire for more transparency and control and building and scaling audiences of all types. Can I just get a quick show of hands from people in the room? Who here, if I can see, these lights are pretty bright, but who here is involved with audience targeting, any way, shape, or form? Okay, so we've got a good amount of people here that are probably pretty close to the number that we're seeing up on the screen. 60% of marketers, this is according to the survey, regularly buy targeted audiences programmatically. With that comes some challenges. So the survey indicates that the top challenges that marketers face are tracking individuals across multiple devices, identifying which attributes to use when building audiences, and then finding more highly qualified individuals at scale. Those are really the three big challenges that have emerged from the survey. When we take a closer look, dive a little deeper into the process of audience creation, we can see that marketers on the whole are pretty comfortable with the process of building core audiences, especially utilizing their own first-party data. But where it gets a little bit more tricky, where things start to get more challenging, is when we start using more nuanced, more custom audiences and scaling those core audience types. And that's probably the reason why so many marketers turn to standard audiences. Standard perform great. They work great for delivering reach. They're broad in their nature. So they're a great way of reaching large-scale audiences. But with that comes some inherent waste because they're not specific. They're not tightly specified to one particular type of audience. The survey here is kind of backing that up, saying that 70% of marketers who buy standard segments see a significant amount of waste in those audiences when compared to custom. So standard do a great job in terms of delivering reach, but there's a lot more waste in the system when you compare that to using custom. If we look at performance, and we're going to take a look at custom as well, but taking a look at standard audiences here first, we can see that marketers that use standard audiences are pretty satisfied with them. 60% is it's a good number. They do a good job. But like any kind of standard product, it's an okay performance. It's not great. It's not wonderful. There's certainly room for improvement. When we compare that with utilizing custom audiences, what we see is at the very high end of the scale, we see that marketers are there's a bigger proportion of highly satisfied users. So what this is showing us is that standard audiences do a job, they perform okay, but custom audiences, when used right, deliver a much higher level of satisfaction. Now I want to take a look at tactics and how, when we measure standard against custom, how marketers are utilizing those audience types for best effect. And we can see here, just about make out on the chart, that looking at standard first, standard highly utilized for awareness and consideration campaigns, so it's upper funnel. And that makes total sense. Standard audiences, big, broad, they allow messaging to broad audience types, large volume, really allow marketers to communicate a more kind of general awareness-generating message to attain mind share. Compare that with custom, and we see that it's really more utilized for lower funnel. So we're seeing custom being used much more frequently for conversion and for loyalty. You see there 56% of marketers using custom for conversion, 43% using custom audiences for loyalty. So there is a distinct use case for each audience type. Standard upper funnel, custom lower funnel. How this bears out in terms of how brands and agencies actually buy, it's kind of interesting. So the split is 80-20 in favor of standard. So what we've got are much more brands and agencies buying standard audiences, although at the same time they're saying custom work better. So what's the reason for that? Why are we seeing more brands and agencies use more standard when we're seeing an acknowledgement that there's inefficiency in the system and the performance is actually stronger with custom? Well, the survey is showing that a big issue, a big reason, a huge barrier for brands, agencies, marketers in general to really get on board with custom audiences is a lack of transparency and control. So when marketers are using data providers, whether it be second or third party, there is widespread acknowledgement that there just isn't enough transparency in how those audiences are created, what kind of techniques are involved in audience extension, how those audiences are qualified, and there's the same level of acknowledgement in the level of control. The marketers want to see more or have more control, more influence in the way that those audiences are shaped. So in conclusion, programmatic is going to continue to grow, play a bigger part, bigger role in the way that we as marketers connect with our consumers. That standard audiences definitely play a role, but they are most effective with upper funnel campaigns. Custom audiences certainly play a strong role in conversion and lower funnel campaigns. But in order for them to be truly effective, data partners need to let marketers take a look under the hood. They need to allow more transparency. They need to shine a light on the techniques that are being used to generate those audiences and to explain what techniques are being used to deliver scale. So transparency and control really, really important. So those are the highlights from the survey. What I'd like to do now is open up to questions from the room, and I'd be happy to go into a little bit more detail, answer any questions that you guys might have.
Sure. Do we have any questions from the audience? No? Nothing? I have a quick one for you. Just in terms of priorities for the year, what do you think retailers should be focusing on that they're not really focusing on when it comes to this?
So what we saw were marketers in general, so this applies to retailers as well, acknowledging that behavior and building audiences around behaviors and engagement are important and underutilized. So demographics play a role in qualifying, but they don't give us all the answers. They don't give us all of the reasons why an audience should be qualified to be targeted. Mm-hmm. So I would say, focus on behaviors and allow those behaviors to qualify whether an audience is appropriate. Okay. And then test custom audiences. Work with your data provider to test campaigns and work with them to get a better understanding of what's making those audiences up. And if they're quality audiences, there shouldn't be a problem with that. They should be willing to kind of let you take a look under the hood. Makes sense.
Any more questions? We have a few seconds. No? Great. Paul, thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Comment